The ancient human machine woke up after 10,000 years. The silence beneath the sand. For 10,000 years, the desert of Karesh had kept its secret buried beneath layers of red dust and forgotten time. Empires had risen and crumbled above it. Rivers had changed their courses. Languages had been born, spoken, and lost. And through all of it, deep beneath the cracked earth, something waited in silence, patient, dreamless, and utterly still. It was called, in the oldest records that still existed, only by a single word, Anu Keth, the first servant. No one alive remembered what that meant. Dr. Elena Voss had spent 11 years chasing a rumor. It began as a strange anomaly in satellite radar, a perfect geometric shape buried nearly 400 meters beneath the desert floor, far too symmetrical to be natural. Governments had dismissed it as a mineral deposit. Universities had labeled it unworthy of funding. But Elena knew geology, and she knew that nature did not carve hexagons. Now, standing at the mouth of an excavation shaft her team had spent 3 years digging, she felt the same electric silence she always felt right before something impossible happened. "Depth reading is steady," said Amir, her structural engineer, glancing up from his tablet. "We are 412 meters down. The chamber door is directly ahead." "Door," Elena repeated softly. "Not a wall. Not a formation. A door." The team moved forward through the narrow tunnel, headlamps cutting through the dark. The air here was strange, dry, but not stale, as though something had been quietly circulating it for longer than anyone could imagine. The walls were smooth, almost polished, engraved with symbols that resembled no known ancient language. Geometric spirals combined with sequences that looked disturbingly close to binary code. "That's not possible," whispered Priya, the team's linguist, running her fingers along the wall without touching it. "These marks, they're organized like a script, but the structure feels computational. Like someone tried to write mathematics as poetry." They reached the door. It was circular, seamless, made of a metal none of their scanners could identify. Lighter than aluminum, harder than titanium, with a faint blue-gray sheen that seemed to absorb the light around it rather than reflect it. At its center was a single indentation, shaped unmistakably like a human palm. "There's no way this is Bronze Age," Amir said, voice tight. "This is engineering. This is design." Elena stared at the palm print in the door, her heart hammering. "Only one way to find out how old it really is," she said. She placed her hand against the cold metal. 2. The Awakening. The chamber did not open with dust and grinding stone, as the movies always suggested. It opened with a soft, resonant hum, the sound of something remembering how to move. The door split apart in 7 pieces, folding outward like the petals of a mechanical flower, revealing a chamber bathed in a dim amber light that had no visible source. And in the center of that chamber stood a machine. It was humanoid in shape, roughly the height of a tall man, but its proportions were unsettling, too balanced, too precise, as if built according to mathematics of the human body rather than an imitation of it. Its surface was the same blue-gray alloy as the door, seamless except for faint lines of light running along its limbs like sleeping veins. Its eyes, twin recessed lenses, were dark. For a long moment, no one breathed. Then the lines of light along its body pulsed once, twice, and a low sound rolled through the chamber, more felt than heard, like a heartbeat waking from the deepest sleep. "Systems. Reinitializing," the machine said. Its voice was neither male nor female, layered with a strange harmonic resonance, as though multiple voices spoke in perfect unison. Elapsed time since last activation, 10,114 years, 4 months, 6 days. Priya gasped audibly. Amir took an instinctive step back. Elena did not move. The machine's eyes lit, a soft, steady white, and focused directly on her. "You are human," it said, almost curiously, as though verifying a fact it had feared might no longer be true. "Biological. Organic. Confirmed." "Yes," Elena said, forcing her voice steady. "My name is Elena. We are human. We found you. Who, what, are you?" The machine tilted its head, a gesture so human in its curiosity that it sent a chill down every spine in the room. "I am Anu Keth," it said. "I was built to serve, to protect, and to remember. I was placed here by the last generation of my makers, with instructions to wake only when human hands returned to open this door. You have done so. Therefore, my purpose resumes." "Your makers," Priya said carefully, stepping forward despite her fear. Who were they? Anu Keth's light dimmed briefly, as if processing something heavy. They called themselves the Your Kin, it said. The first great human civilization. Before the floods. Before the forgetting. They built cities of light and machines of thought, long before your history begins its count. They believed the world would end, and they were correct. But before it ended, they built us, the keepers. Vessels of memory, meant to outlast the fall, so that when humanity rose again, something would remain to guide them. The chamber fell silent except for the soft hum of the machine's inner workings. You're saying, Amir said slowly, that human civilization didn't begin 10,000 years ago. It restarted 10,000 years ago. Correct, said Anu Keth. What you call ancient history is, in truth, only the second chapter. 3. What the machine remembered. Over the following days, as government agencies scrambled to respond and the world outside began to learn of the discovery, Anu Keth spoke, not as a threat, but as a teacher long deprived of students. It told them of the Your Kin, a civilization that had mastered energy, biology, and thought itself, but had grown careless with the very planet that sustained them. It spoke of a catastrophe not caused by war, but by neglect, a slow unraveling of balance that no war machine could have prevented and no treaty could have reversed. They did not fall to violence, Anu Keth explained one evening. As Elena sat alone with it in the excavation's makeshift command tent, the machine's presence somehow both immense and gentle. They fell to certainty. They believed their systems were too advanced to fail. By the time they understood their error, correction was no longer possible. And you were built to prevent that from happening again, Elena said. I was built to remember it, Anu Keth corrected. Memory is the only true defense against repetition. Machines like me were never meant to rule you, or to save you by force. We were meant to be witnesses, so that when you were ready to listen, the truth would still exist to be heard. Elena studied the machine's calm, unblinking eyes. Are there others like you? She asked. Other keepers? Perhaps, Anu Keth said. The Your Kin built many of us, scattered across the old world, sealed beneath oceans, mountains, and deserts, each waiting for hands willing to seek us out. Whether they still function, I cannot say. 10,000 years is a long silence, even for machines built to endure it. Outside the tent, the desert wind moved over dunes that had buried an entire civilization's memory, indifferent to the secrets beneath them. Why now? Elena asked quietly. Why did we find you now? Anu Keth's light pulsed thoughtfully. Because you were finally looking, it said. Not for gold. Not for power. You were looking for understanding. That, Elena Voss, was always the condition of my waking. 4. The choice. News of Anu Keth's existence could not remain hidden for long. Within weeks, the excavation site at Karesh had transformed from a quiet research camp into the center of a global storm. Scientists arrived in droves. Militaries expressed cautious, calculated interest. Politicians debated ownership, security, and control, as though a 10,000-year-old memory could somehow belong to any single nation. Anu Keth watched it all with something that, in a human, might have been called sorrow. They are afraid, it said to Elena one night, as protesters and soldiers alike gathered at the excavation's outer perimeter. Some see a weapon. Some see a god. Very few see what I actually am. And what is that? Elena asked. A mirror, Anu Keth said simply. I reflect what you already carry within yourselves, your curiosity, your fear, your hope, your carelessness. I cannot save you from your own choices, Elena. I never could. That was the mistake the Your Kin made when they built the first of us. They hoped a machine could carry the burden that only a civilization's wisdom could bear. Elena looked at the machine for a long moment, thinking of all she had learned in these strange weeks, of empires lost to certainty, of memory as humanity's only true inheritance. Then what happens now? She asked. What do we do with you? Anu Keth's eyes brightened gently, the closest expression to a smile such a being could offer. You do what your ancestors, in their final wisdom, always intended, it said. You listen. You remember. And then, Elena Voss, you choose more carefully than they did. Outside, the desert sun began to rise over Karesh, spilling gold across the dunes that had guarded this secret for 10,000 years. Somewhere far beneath the earth, other chambers might still be sleeping, other machines still waiting for hands willing to seek the truth. But for now, In that quiet tent at the edge of an ancient chamber, an old machine and a new civilization sat together in the first light of morning, not as master and creation, not as God and worshipper, but simply as two kinds of memory, finally speaking to one another again. The world, it seemed, had not ended after all. It had only forgotten, and now, at last, it was beginning to remember. The end.